listening to Where Eagles Soar here with myself, Kate of Gaia, and Kyler Davenport. I will say that Tony's in a bit of a project right now, so he will not be joining us tonight. So it's just going to be you and me. Kyler, how's it going? Hello. I got you unmuted. Okay.
Hi, yeah.
Oh, it's Heather. Hey, Heather, how are you?
Doing good.
Yeah, so, just double checking your line there. I'm not hearing you very well.
Hold on, let me turn the volume up.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Hi, how are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
So what are we up to? What do you want to talk about?
That's a loaded question.
Isn't it? I love asking that one.
A lot of different things are going on with the network. I mean, obviously we're back on the show tonight, which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Just a lot of different things been going on in the network. A lot of different things have been going on with me. Of course, I know you know I'm a caregiver. It's a loaded discussion right there in itself.
Yeah, beyond loaded.
Yeah, I mean, things are going good. Destiny Publishing, United Caregivers of America, the radio network at DestinyRadioNetwork.com, expanding Blog Talk Radio, our Senior Abuse Rescue Team, our books that are coming out, especially mine with ours with the long-term care expose in the industry. Something big that I like to talk about a lot is the lack of empathy and compassion, the fact that it cannot be taught and it must be lived. I've been talking to Edwin Rush. I'm sure you've heard of him. Edwin Rush, Empathy and Compassion, all over Facebook.
Not familiar, to be completely blunt and honest. Definitely need some looking up on that on my part.
Yeah, Edwin Rush has a huge program that he's created, and it's really growing really, really fast. The Empathy and Compassion is an education program that he's working on, trying to say that it can be taught. And it is not possible to be taught in my book.
No, compassion is something that is inherent within all of us. It's the only thing we can do is choose to be in that space. Unfortunately, for most of the people on this planet, the way the system has been working for so very long, compassion can most certainly be untaught, to be steered away from people, and it's a real tough road to get back. When people get used to harming others and getting desensitized to it, it is a very long road back, and one that most will never be able to make.
So what do you think about, I talked to Edwin, I sent him a message the other day, and I asked him, I said, Edwin, I need some help in my particular field of caregiving. I said, I need to get together with other like-minded people within your group who are nurses, doctors, physicians. I don't care if they're unpaid caregivers, if they're people wanting to support caregivers. I said, I want to get together and have you help me form a group of Empathy and Compassion Circle through Facebook and get out to Google Hangout, and all of us get together. And I was like, well, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm like, how can you not understand what I'm asking you? I'm a stressed out, burned out, oh my goodness, massively overworked caregiver of 15 years. I'm a senior caregiver advocate. I'm a patient caregiver advocate. I'm fighting for this to make change in the industry as far as this particular subject goes. And he's like, well, okay, well then come on Facebook and mention this. I'm like, really, Edwin, you don't understand what I'm asking? You've created this program. You're the one saying it, is doable. Let's get together and work it out. And you're telling me you don't understand. What do you think about that? I mean, he's the head of the program.
Yeah, very, very typical. If there's any chance you can get a bit more volume on your phone, it is very low. I'm finding it hard to hear you.
Hold on. Is that better?
Yep, that's a little better. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it was just it sounded just like you were very far away from the phone, and that kind of effect. And of course, over Blog Talk, phones are never the best for some reason. I don't know what it is about telephones. It's like it's a call-in show, but we're going to make sure that the phone calls sound really shitty.
Oh, I know, right? Isn't that just the way it goes? So what do you want to talk? What discussion might you want to talk about?
Well, we have Tammy Pepperman has jumped in the call, so I think we're going to have one hell of a show tonight. I think we're going to have a bit of fun. So it's going to go in all directions, and it's going to be all
That's
for. Fine. Oh, what's that?
That's fine with me.
Oh yeah, I didn't think that would be an issue. It's always fun. You know that Tammy is one of the hosts on Critical Mass Radio as well, so. I always love it when the hosts show up and just get going. It's good. So, Tammy, how are you, hon?
Better. How are you doing?
I'm in there. I'm hanging in there and keeping the fight going. And I had a bit of meditative this afternoon, try to sort some, some things out to purge and get more streamlined in the focus and alleviate a lot of the distractions that we get caught up in, especially doing this stuff. I deal with a lot of people every day, and it's not that it bothers me, but it can get tiresome and very, very draining. Dealing with that all the time, which is like, again, I'm accessible and no skin off my nose for that, but sometimes I hit that proverbial wall, as we all do, and just need to zone out for a little bit and then come back fresh and go, hey, let's do a show. So there's where I'm at.
Absolutely. You sound a bit tired. I was concerned, and I was trying to listen again on the internet, and of course we're having issues, so they're trying to shut you down. You have a beautiful voice, and they're trying really hard to take your voice away, but that's not possible, I don't think.
Right on. Oh, and I just got word from Tony. He just got a line, so I'm not sure if he's going to be joining us. So I'm just going to tag him for a sec. But did you want to go into any other detail as to what you and Bo have been up to?
Well, we've got them backed into a corner in this court case. Just playing. I mean, it's like, in a nutshell, it's kind of like being in the Garden of Eden. They came after Eve. The snake offered Eve. It's where she declined, stepped behind Adam, and basically Adam took the hold of the snake, and he beat it. So right now we're just waiting for the posse to come in and remove the snake. It's just basically getting the body out of the garden. It's stinking up the place, and it's been quite profound. I mean, there's no way out of it. The evidence is all there. Snake moved forward. The bank stopped moving in December 21st. And when the judge took it upon himself to maintain orders and maintain actions, after that time, he revealed his hand. He revealed that he's representation to the bank, or the bank. That's what bench means in French. And, it's been profound. I mean, he just bared his ass, and then he got beat down. So we're just waiting for them to remove the body.
Yeah, I had a giggle when you made that post yesterday regarding the indictment that you had put in. I forget the name of the actual document ahead of it, but you effectively described it in such a perfect biblical sense of, Eve turned to Adam's chest, and Adam hit the snake upside the head. Did you hear him? Yeah. I was talking to someone today about kind of giving the analogy or the overview of what it is that I see that you've done. And what you've effectively done is taken the power. I want to bring this word up because it's a very critical word for people to truly understand. The word register. It is quite a nasty little word. Regis means to rule. And any word with stir, S-T-E-R, which is in fact star as well, means creative, feminine, spiritual essence. So the whole system is based on the ruling of the creative, feminine, spiritual essence to take that energy and hold it. And when you were talking about going in as a special deposit with your with a male counterpart as your daddy, quote, executor, you were able to walk in as the true power in that special deposit light, and they know the power of the feminine, because without it, the whole system crashes. That's what it's all based on. This is Mother Creation, and that's how they're mimicking the whole universal natural law, energy, etc., in a physical sense, and of course rendering it under the patriarchal mentality. So when you and the executor went in, you went in as a singularity, which is something that resonated with me beyond words, where you went in and excuse me, showed the true power of that singularity. And I'm surprised that you didn't come back with reports that the judge was drooling uncontrollably. Fear. Is that fairly accurate?
It is, and that's all it is. During this time, I had thought I found my other half the last 3 years or so, and what had happened was I got an ultimatum at some point, and he's like, well, you either register and settle down, or you leave me, or I leave you. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not registering. You can do your own thing and whatever else. Go play with your pretense. Go play with your toys. I think it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because here he was. I was assuming that was my other half. That was the father. I was speaking his word. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. And then here it comes around where I get an ultimatum. If I don't register, settle down, start maintaining as a member of society, he was going to leave me, and that's where we parted. I'm like, I don't go to the other father, and it's been a hellacious ride, and I witness this every day. All of these men, their counterparts will not adhere to their word. They're still with the other father. They don't want to do the forgiveness and executor doc, and I know exactly what they're feeling. Because I was given that ultimatum, and I took the way of God. There is no other way to go. And it destroyed me. It destroyed me. That was my other half, or who I thought was my other half, and it put me upon my knees, because here I am speaking his word, and yet, he wanted me to register with the other father, and it is hellacious. This place is not fun, but we only have one direction to go, and that is forward. Well, you don't go sideways into the arms of Satan or the snake. There's no other option than what we're doing now.
Couldn't agree with you more. And with Heather and the caregiving sector as well, if you want to deal with a parasitic, establishment, you made a very, very poignant remark there with there is only one way, and absolutely. It was really cool. I was watching one of Bill Donahue's videos. I love that man. And he always has these beautiful little statements that he says. And one of the openings that he said in the in the video I was watching was, you've got all these different things you can go to. You can, join these groups, these organizations, these clubs, and everything else. And he said, one day I just found myself outside all by myself, and I said, Creator, me and you. That's it. That's all there is. And as soon as we finally narrow it down to that, you get your eyes opened wide, and that's, for me, that's the whole idea of having the compassionate heart. I made that deal a long time ago, and the compassion was always there, sometimes misguided, far from perfect. But the thing is, when we do the things that we would never do again, those were the learning mistakes, and you come to terms with it yourself, and you grow from that. And we have the choice of, if you know that you've done something that's harmed somebody, and you truly in a repenting sort of mindset, you will never do it again. And those that do it again, I mean, there's people that do it daily, cops, etc., judges, you name it, the daddy. There's absolutely no compassion there. All you're dealing with is every institution we're dealing with is an automatonic robotics of, people that have lost their sense of being anything other than a controlled meat stick.
Mhm.
Absolutely, the thing, and that's what we're dealing with. Every time you register with something, even if it's your utility company or you subscribe to all these needs and necessities, they're not necessities. They require food and shelter, blah blah. But the thing is that every time you put in a remittance coupon, you are the thing being remitted. You're being remanded somewhere via hypothecation. You, the negotiable instrument. So every time you register, every time you get a license, you're drawing an easement through your body. You're contracting with the state, allowing your body to be rendered. This is in the laws of copyhold. You can find what is the one that I like? It's called 3 Law Tracts, the complete copyholder's guide. Read that one, as well as the Treaty of Mortgage Law and Hypothecation and Pledges. You need to read these things because that is you. You are the estate. You are the thing that is being bought and sold and traded and bartered. And every time you buy from the law merchant, you're allowing this to happen. You are allowing this to happen. The law merchant is the thing that steals your rights and steals your benefits, steals your inheritance to sell it back to you at cost. And everybody's got to stop doing this. We have to stop purchasing from the law merchant. And that's when Babel falls. It says so right in Revelation. I mean, this is not something that's going to occur at some future date in time. This is not something that happened in the past. Revelation is written for you so that you realize what's going on. Stop purchasing from the law merchant. Write the title on its forehead. Let it be known as the whore. And stop it. Babel falls when you stop purchasing from the law merchant.
Exactly. One other point I want to bring in, and why it is so critical with this whole word register, is you have males thinking that, well, that's, creative feminine, whatever it is. There's, I'm uber male, macho, this, that. Sorry, creation involves the seventh law, the law of gender. There is masculine and feminine everything. So whether you think you have that or not, it's irrelevant because you do. That is how nature works, or you wouldn't be walking around in that little meat stick you're in, male or female. And what you have to understand is that when you or anyone registers anything, they've given up their literal creation of their spiritual essence. That's the energy that these thieves steal, and they literally steal it. But to the degree that we give them consent to, and what we've done is just said, no thanks, I'll keep mine, thanks.
Absolutely, and that's what happens in the executor doc. When you appear before your executor as the special deposit, you're subscribing that you're a res of the house now. And your executor does not view you as a thing. You are going from the House of Representatives to whatever house you're entering back into. And I can guarantee you that if he has signed the forgiveness and executor doc, he will not abuse you, because he will not sign the forgiveness doc if he's a user or if he's Satan or if he's a psychopath. And it goes the same way with the female. She's not going to sign the forgiveness doc in the first place if she's not a follower of your word, if she's not a follower of the truth, because you can't give up all the shit. They like to count their things. They like to count human beings. They view human beings as objects. And there's no that they're going to sign the forgiveness or executor doc to begin with if they're psychopathic or if they have malicious intent.
Sorry, guys, lost my mouse. Heather, jump in. Are you there, Heather?
Yes, I'm here.
There you are. Jump in. The water's awesome here.
Yes, it is very awesome here. And I couldn't agree more with what she's saying, with what you're saying. I fit right in, especially like you were saying. when you give of yourself to the law merchant and you allow yourself to become a part of that, whether you're applying for a job or you're going to get your driver's license or whatever, you give yourself to the state to say, here, take me, do with me as you will. And it's in my particular position, I've given unto corporate. And I'm saying, I'm a caregiver, I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm compassionate, but yet I'm giving you all of me to do with me as you will, and I'm ending up with, and fortunately in this particular position, no soul. And I say that I never fully understood that until today. I was doing something earlier today, getting ready for this show, and I thought to myself, I feel different. I don't feel myself. I don't feel whole. I'm losing a part of myself, and I don't know which way to go with it. So I'm thinking slowly that I'm going to step out of my role, not physically working in that department in the same way, but stepping back and working in the same field in a different position so I get my soul back.
Well, I was going to say, Heather, Tammy can certainly give you lots of help in that department.
Absolutely, and it's all, Heather, it doesn't matter what you are. If you're a doctor or a dentist or even a practitioner of anything, you can divest yourself of all these licenses because you still know how to do what you do. That is you. You are a caregiver. You are a nurse. You are a doctor. You are whatever you are. You already are those things prior to receiving a license from Caesar, the one that you pay to hook you. I mean, you're being prostituted constantly by licensing agreements, by registering. Drop them. It doesn't mean that you've dropped anything else. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they do or act upon. When they are acting unlawfully under Uniform Commercial Code, which is the law merchant, it's handed down from the Negotiable Instrument Act through the law merchant, that is what UCC is. They have no right, they have no lawful authority, no standing whatsoever to tell you or determine your life or your be living. And so if you want to walk away, you can walk away. We trade and barter. I know dentists, I know doctors, and we use them off the grid. We trade and barter with them. It doesn't mean anything. You know, you can still maintain in your position. You can still do what you're doing because there's a lot of us that would purchase these things. We need help sometimes. We need alternative medicines, you know, and you know, when we're doing this ourselves, you know, recently we had to set a toe in our house. You know, somebody broke a toe, and we had to set a toe ourselves. And we had to learn this really quickly. You know, everything is by necessity in this realm, and you know, it was quite the experience. And of course, you know, we were worried about how we set the thing and little things like that. But it doesn't take away what you know. It doesn't take away your knowledge or who you are if you drop these licenses.
Wow.
Well, that's exactly it. That is it in a nutshell. And I think what I really want to focus on tonight is trying to convey the concepts. Not, you know, you can have all, you know, documents all day long, but unless you understand the why these things are put together, you know, they're just words on a piece of paper. It is more important that you get the concept because this is a mental universe, and without that, everything else is powerless. And it's so true, you know. I worked for many years as a general contractor without any trade licenses whatsoever, because I didn't bow to the beast in that regard. I knew my job, I knew what I had to do, and if I needed to find something out, I just went and investigated it and did it. You know, I don't need someone holding my hand. I'm quite capable of doing things and observing from others that I was working with, and you know, again, every day was student teacher at the same time. You know, some things I would be teaching how to do things and vice versa.
Yeah.
Put together some pretty astonishing work. I'll tell you, my client base, when I threw it all away to do this, nothing, divest myself of possessions, yeah, that's been done very effectively. I had client base of, you know, literally millionaires. So I was dealing with very high-end people and that had very high expectations, and I delivered. I never had to advertise because of word of mouth, and I was always in demand. So that's what happens with good deeds. When you do something right and you actually have compassion, and that's one of the things I think people noticed the most was I wanted to make sure that not only was it, everything was done correctly and to the best of what they wanted, but they also saw that I actually cared. It wasn't just I'm doing this for marketing. No, I really cared about what I walked away from as a finished creation, because I was the one creating it. They had the ideas, and all I did was take their ideas and make it real in a physical sense, right? So, but once we divest ourselves of these titles, labels, names, all the rest of it, those are all, I render them unto Caesar, and that's where I stand, and I will not yield. End of story.
Yep.
Yeah, so let me see, just make sure we still got Tammy on the board here. Oh, no, Tammy got bumped off, so we'll wait for her to come back. That's who I expected to come back there. But, Heather, yeah, Tammy's absolutely correct in that you have skills that you have honed throughout your life. And no one's going to take that away from you. It's like, because a mechanic has, I'm a Class A mechanic, piece of paper on a wall, if they take that down off the wall and tear it up, it doesn't mean to say that they can't do what they were doing before. Well, we're getting a bit of feedback, Heather. I can hear myself coming back. There we go.
Hold on just a second. Okay, did you fix it?
Yeah, well, whatever you just did, yeah, it fixed it.
Wow, okay. I don't know what I did, but I guess I did something right.
I guess, yeah. Your phone actually sounds better, too, whatever you did.
Wow. Yeah, no, I agree, and I fully understand. To refocus, to rechannel. I really went through a really rough time when I lost my mother-in-law. Taking care of her for 10 years. I learned from 21 how to be a caregiver and what it meant to me, and it made me a whole person. It made me a whole human being, and it made me feel really good about myself to be able to give to someone else and care for someone else. And I tried for about 6 months after she passed away to stop, but it's in my blood, it's in my nature to be a caregiver, to be compassionate, to be empathetic, to help others, to be an advocate for others who don't have a voice. Caregivers, the ones they care for, the patients, anyone in need in that department, whether they're old, indigent, sick, young, it doesn't matter. I'm ready to be their voice. I'm here. I've been through a lot and seen a lot, and probably more than some would say, well, it's a lot to see at 35 years old. Yeah, it is. It's a lot to see and a lot to take in.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a lot. No, it is a lot to take in. No, carry on.
One thing I have a passion for is to open my own Alzheimer's specialty care home. That's one thing that is very passionate on my heart, because my mother-in-law suffered from that. And it's a very horrible disease, and I don't know if you've dealt with anyone who's been around it or been in it or had it, but we deal with it all the time. And one thing that really tugs at my passion and heartstrings throughout the last 5 years I've watched is they've taken Alzheimer's dementia care residents and thrown them into the major populace of, I call, normal elderly residents who use walkers and canes, and they're mentally with it a lot of the time, and then you add the Alzheimer's dementia resident to it, and it's just not what I call normal living for anyone. So our home would definitely be different. It would be geared more toward education, empathy and compassion, training. Yes, I know I said it can't be taught, but it can definitely be brought into the workplace and tuned up. Giving caregivers support, whether they're a mother in need of daycare for their child when they come to work late at night because their baby's sick, or a lot of different things, but also a small home environment to allow the families to become more involved with their loved ones' lives. I mean, I could go on forever in this department, a lot of different things. But organic gardening, but the biggest thing for me is to let the public know that they're not alone. There's a lot of people suffering at home alone. I know that on Facebook everything looks all fancy and the home caregivers, and they talk about themselves and the different programs. It's not what really is going on. I've done a lot of research, and so has Kyler, and he's done a lot of different shows. I'm sure if you've listened to some of the other shows that he's done, it's a money industry. And that's part of the thing, that you talk about when you're talking about giving up to the man, giving up to the other side. The money of it all. That's another thing that's artistic.
No, I hear you. I just want to get a little announcement. Our site got hacked a week ago on Friday, and we've had some people working diligently to get it operational. Anyone that's trying to get in the chat room, you might have some issues. I finally, for the first time since then, I have been able to get into the chat room, so I'm just sort of setting up here. But yeah, it's just crazy. And something else too, with regards to Alzheimer's. I mean, we've had a serious increase in that, and that is primarily based on the aluminum that we have in our lives. Drinking out of aluminum cans, eating out of aluminum pots, aluminum cookware, and it's definitely not something that we should be doing. Just saying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. When Kyler's mother was alive, we turned her diet around. We were able to do things the doctors told us were not possible by recreating her environment, recreating her dietary, recreating her contact with humans, recreating everything for her, and she lived, I'd say, probably a good 2 years past they said she would. They told us she wouldn't walk. They told us she would not be able to cohesively communicate. They told us she would not be able to help herself do many things that she did.
Absolutely. And just a quick note here, we got some awesome listeners in so many different fields. Note here from Miranda to mention distilled water helping to strip out all the metals that cause dementia, for those interested in finding out more about that. And of course, use of coconut oil, which is a beautiful gift of nature. You can go to www.aquariusthewaterbearer.com. So that'll give you a bit more background on that. We've got people, the people that I've actually been blessed to come into contact with, people like Karen Ann McDonald, Janice Barcelo, Pat Chuli. I mean, there's so many out there. Miranda, the groups that I'm affiliated with, in a learning curve, are just incredible. And all it takes, and it's not much. This is the whole joke of it. It's not much. All it takes is taking your life back, i.e. your dietary, instead of buying into the process meat grinder that we call the food service. Removing yourself from that, divesting yourself from the processed poisons that you have no idea. Yeah, they've got a label on them, but you have no idea what is going on, what gets into these foods. And I mean, we can get into the horror stories of pieces of mice and what have you.
Oh, I know, it's
hair follicles.
Gross.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really gross. Exactly.
And it's no wonder that people are getting sick with you name it, because our diet, which is the primary thing that people have to change. The bottom line, if you're not feeling well, see, here's the thing. Someone will come up and say, well, I've got a runny nose, so therefore I have a cold. I said, no. You have a runny nose, therefore you have the culmination of every experience you've ever had in your life, and it's manifesting lightly through that or some other way. People think that everything that is happening to their body is something that they've just done recently. No, most, if not all, I will say all because I'll just back my own statement up. Everything that we experience factors into, our whole life in our bodies up to the point where we are. Everything that we've done, everything that we've ingested, everything that we've been through factors in. Cellular memory. We ingest toxins. You look at tooth fillings with mercury poisoning, vaccinations. All of this factors in. It's just because the machine breaks down in one way doesn't mean to say there was one thing. It is a collective, because the human body as an organism is miraculous beyond miraculous. And what's happened is we've spent so much of our lives, ingesting poisons, be it soft drinks, be it, this high fructose corn sugar. I mean, hey, for me, it's very difficult to avoid, but I'm aware of it, and I take the mind over matter very seriously in that, that's why there's firewalkers, because they get the right mindset. And for me, it's not going into agreement with the poisons and basically just going through the motions and eating as best I can. And of course, lots of water. And I'm a urine therapy individual as well. So I mean, I'll do what I can to change that paradigm so that I don't get sick. That's the only thing that ever happens to me is I get tired, and that's only because of what I do all day, every day. For some people, they may not consider this work, and based on the pay, no, I guess it's not. The rewards are priceless. I guess it's going to get to a point where people they'll just take what they can hear, and this is great and everything else. But I got to tell you, it is a fight to actually be able to do this every day, and I'm talking in the most in the strictest sense of that.
Yeah.
And that you guys live that as well. There's many of us that live this. That all we're trying to do is get the word out to our fellow Earthlings, because they're going to have to be the change that they want to see. We've already changed. We've already made our choices to shift into a new way of thinking and a new way of living. Divest ourselves of the beast, which is the mark of the beast, guys. I'll make it very simple. For those that take the Bible literally, here's a quick education on that. You were trained to take it literally, and you need to have a second look at it and understand what the mystics were really saying in the most beautiful truths that are contained within. It's allegorical, metaphorical, pure truth, hidden in plain sight. But once you see it, boy, it's amazing. Here's the thing, and I'm going to use one particular group as an example, and I don't touch on, what I'm like with religion, right? That's why I hate the institutions, because what the institutions have done have taken away the perfect message. So I go back to the original teacher, Jesus, pretty cool. I kind of took the guy at his word. I paid attention to him. It was pretty cool. And when you understand what he's really saying, be a real character or not is irrelevant. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's the truth that are contained in the words that matters. And when you start seeing it, like if Christians, church Christians and all that, if they could see this, if they could see how beautiful this teacher was and how badly his words have been corrupted through the institution, that they've taken some of the good to sell this beautiful thing, from a very evil intent. It's crazy. The bottom line is, you're not supposed to worship Christ. You're supposed to be it. That was the message. You can do better things than I. I took the guy at his word. Some pretty cool teachings. And same with Muhammad and Buddha and all these beautiful teachers. Thought. Hare Krishna. These are all the same stories told pretty much in the exact same way, just slightly different allegories, but they all have the same meaning. It's like being able to tell a joke in any language, or one language, and every language gets it. And that's why things like the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Vedics, all the rest of it, they're all they're alchemical books of truth. And once people learn, once they get the eyes to see it, it is the most astonishing transformation you will ever experience. Promise. It's beautiful beyond words.
Yes, it is. Very much so. Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that in any way whatsoever. I mean, there have been so many times that I just wanted to tell people, look, you've twisted it, you've taken it wrong, stop. You're getting on my last nerve. I can't deal with you. You're not listening to what you're telling me. You're telling me one thing, you're doing another. You're misrepresenting what you think you're representing in the first place. And I have personal experience within my own unfortunate family of exactly what you're talking about here. Taking it to the other side, not liking the institution, but appreciating and understanding the Word. Simply as the Word, listening to it, learning from it, living it, taking it in and absorbing it into my own self. And, yeah, I've got family, as we speak here on the air, I've got family who reads Bible verses. You know, those little things that you can get and you put them on your table, like at breakfast time, they read Bible verses. And when me and Kyler were going through a really rough patch of time after his mom passed away, we were trying to live with these people, my family, and they were not exactly inviting. They treated us like second class in their home. And I was like, so, let me see. You go to church, you pray, you do your Wednesday night and your Sunday morning and your Sunday night thing, yet you come here and we get treated this way. I don't see how what you're doing is okay with you. It's definitely not okay with me.
Well, isn't that the case all the time? I mean, I went through my my church days as a teen and got out of that rather, spending a life up to that point and finally realizing that there's got to be something wrong with what is being taught, because that's exactly the same thing that I was experiencing. You've got these Sunday morning Christians, Pentecostal even, that are, praise Jesus and love and groove and all the rest of this stuff. And as soon as anybody, needed help or whatever, you head for the hills, right? And again, what is preached more than anything else is what I call, you've heard me say it a few times, religiocosis chosenitis. I'm saved, therefore you're scum. It's like, I have this secret and I know this and that and the other. And it says, well, no, you have what's been literally taught to you to entrain you into a certain way of thinking. And they've got you looking at the most you can find in your particular, religion, call it what you want. Yet they've pulled the wool over your eyes by, teaching it to you literally. I mean, when you take that book literally, man, it's a pretty sick book.
It is.
But when you understand it from the allegorical, it's like, okay, these things that are meant to really, charge that get that energy out to let you know how intense this truth is. It's, put into certain, you could deem it to be, darker situations, but when you see the true meaning of it, it is blinding and light. I mean, give you an example, and I don't understand what Christians don't see about this, and this applies to any religion. I pick them on all the institutions equally, because the people that are in there are the ones I care about. This guy Jesus walks into a church and overturns the money lender tables. I think that was the only time that I know of that he actually set foot in one of these temples, because that's how the lawyers, woe to all ye lawyers, or you have, screwed it. You have screwed with the truth and you've made it hidden. And for me, what he was trying to show people was, you're worshiping Caesar if you're dealing in the money. because what you've done, as I've explained in previous shows, with regards to Federal Reserve notes that are based on the full faith and credit of the American people, to me, those ferns are layers of skin. So if you're using the ferns, you're literally in the act of cannibalization of your fellow man. And I'm talking worldwide because, as everyone may or may not be aware, the Federal Reserve note is the reserve world currency, and all currencies of paper fiat are pinned to it, the petrodollar. So the U.S. dollar goes down, the whole damn thing goes down. That's why they've been doing what they've been doing. That was a lot of my background in terms of money history and stuff like that. But
trying to prop it up with something that isn't there.
Yeah, it's like the consumer pricing index that they bring in totally useless things to try to determine what inflation is at 2.1%, but they don't include things like food, fuel, cost of housing, all the things that real living people need. If they did, you'd be dealing with probably about a 28 to 35% inflation rate right now. But they can't tell people that, because then the sleepy ones might see something wrong. But all you got to do is go into your if local grocer and have a look at the price of a loaf of bread and how it's doubled since last year. That's 100%.
It has.
Yes.
It has. The milk, the eggs, the bacon,
everything.
even pork is. I go to the local corner market here where we are, and it's like, just at the corner convenience market, it's almost $6. Almost $6 for a pack of bacon that's not even 2 bites for one person.
That's crazy. But there you go. I mean, how much more proof do you need that the paper is worthless and growing increasingly worthless? And people better pay attention, because hey, listen, nothing would make me happier than for the whole banking system to collapse, because that here's the elites are trying to sell everybody on, we're trying to save the system and that and the other, and then of course they turn around and threatening that the system is going to come down and oh my, and fear pouring this and fear pouring that. The only reason they're doing that is because it's them that's terrified. During the Great Depression, they've done a great job marketing, the destitution of the people. I got to tell you, butter and meat consumption actually rose during the Great Depression. So what they focus on, of course, when you look, remove themselves from the land to go work in the factories, giving up any means of survival where they were, chasing the American dream, the almighty dollar. And of course, when you get into a situation of a city or whatever, there's not a whole lot of area around there to maybe ply your trade of, maybe you were a farmer before, maybe you were a woodsman, or whatever the case may be. When you left where you were, because obviously you came in from a farm or a plantation somewhere to go to these cities, you traded off that beautiful freedom for the almighty dollar. And when your master went broke, which he did, so do you.
Yeah, that's very true.
I used to laugh, going back at the bank and whatever, because I've always been, self-hired, right? Self-employed, they call it. No, I just I hire myself out. That's what I did my whole life. And anytime you go into the bank, of course, for a loan, if you were self-employed, you had to, basically jump through hoops, which is a joke anyway, given the fact that all they want is the signature, because they're going to create the money anyway. But they have to create the illusion that we're doing something for you, which they're not.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, no, it's such bullshit. But what would happen is they'd look at self-employed types or business owners, and they'd run them through the hoops. Yet, any one of the people working for me, not a problem, because they had a job. So they made it clear that it doesn't matter that everything was, their paycheck was based on me. Didn't matter that at all. So it's all backwards. It's so absolutely retarded. And when you really understand what's going on within their Caesar world fiction, it doesn't take long to decide that I'm kind of done with that, and I got to tell you, if you really want to know what it feels like to walk between worlds, get rid of your Caesar identity. Dare to not have a bank account, dare to not have a credit card, dare to not have any form of ID whatsoever, and then try to exist on this planet. I assure you, it's not easy.
Okay, just real quick, is Kyler in the QE with you? He actually is not feeling very good right now, and he actually got himself up to talk to you for a little bit. Is he there?
I can actually he's not there right now, but I can let me see. Oh, there he is. I can pull him in through Skype.
No, that's me. That's me on his line there. So I'm using him coming into your show.
Right.
But he's trying to call off the cell phone. Is there a 541 area code in your QE?
There's just yours that I can see right now. What I can do, if he wants, I can pull him into Skype through my call. If that makes it easier, he doesn't have to use a cell phone and microwave his head.
No, there should be two 541s. Mine, the one I'm using, which is his, and there's not another one?
Not right now, there isn't.
Okay, let me give him, what is your call-in number? I called it via Skype. He's going to use the cell phone to call in.
Okay, because, I've got your number, the 54125, right?
That's Skype for me.
Okay, the call-in number is area code 661 467 2401.
Okay, because I think he just looked at me through the other studio window and he said he can hear you, but he can't get in.
Oh, weird. Nothing, actually, what am I saying? Nothing is weird on our show. Ever.
Hold on, he wants to say hi to you, Kate. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Oh, God. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Kyler, how you doing?
I passed out in the newsroom floor. I'm just exhausted. It's been a couple of days working a couple of stories, and I'm like a stupid idiot. I didn't get any sleep, and I'm just like, wow, Heather, go get on the air. Hey, say hello. Let's see.
And she's doing awesome. This is an absolute treat for me.
Just like, what? Call Lynn, try to see if she can work this thing. I'm half blind tonight, so it's like I'm going to have her see if we can get in queue with her. I heard you, and I pushed 1, and it said, you are now in the host queue. And then I heard you again. The show was fine, but I didn't have, I think I got the wrong number or something. Called in on an alternate line or something. She's trying.
Well, I'm having a slight issue with my internet right now. That that little wheel that likes to turn, like everything's frozen up.
Oh man, I'm so sick of looking at that thing on our computer. I could throw up, man.
Well, that's what I'm looking at right now. So
we're 50. She's coming in on a 503 number now. If you ever see it.
Okay, well I can't. That's why that I get to the board right now. I'm looking at it going. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. It's radio. I mean, the other night we did a show, and it was like we lost 18 minutes of the whole show. And it was just, I couldn't do anything about it. I tried every button. I pushed every button on the computer. I did everything. I went back through Skype. We lost 18 minutes of a wonderful, wonderful show. And then when we hit post, we had like no listens at all in post, which is unusual. We normally get 6,000, 4,000, 8,000 listens in post, and this one was dead. So when people hear an audio problem, they give up. I mean, I've learned that.
No, I hear you.
And I don't know how to, I didn't get to edit it, so I'm sure you know how to edit and all that, but I didn't have a tech at that time, so I couldn't edit it together and seam it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm lucky. I've got someone that does all that. What I'm doing on the other computer right now is loading up the board so that I can refresh this this board on my computer, so that I'm not going to lose the option. That way, if someone does call in, I can I can answer it. So.
Yeah. Y'all were really getting into a good subject. I was listening there at the end and about being fed up. I'm fed up too. I'm just fed up.
Oh, we all are. It's boring now.
I'm numb. No, you're right. You're right. It has become boring. You know what? It's weird. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. but I hope you have. Over the last 3 weeks, I have seen more shares on my computer than ever in the history of time being on this computer in this network in 2 years. What in the hell is going on with that? Shares from junk shares, just stupid shares. Nothing. The government has left the board. What is going on with this? Are people short-circuited? Have they just went bonkers?
Honestly, couldn't tell you. And by the way, I managed to get I can see the 503 number on the board now. So if it was up before, I didn't see it, but I've made the line hot. So there you go.
Hi.
Cool.
There you are.
So, the number of shares, though, as long as I've been in this business, I have never in my life seen this come across. I get like 350 worlds. That has never happened. Maybe I've just got too many friends, but all of a sudden, it's just the worlds are just crammed, and I've never seen it before. And I've talked to other people, and they've noticed a similar trend. But maybe you're not looking for that trend. I mean, I just all of a sudden started looking at it. I just started, staring at it.
Yeah, what I have noticed is a dramatic increase in contact requests and stuff like that. And I'm seeing a very positive influx of some very beautiful people. And we did a show last Monday on QL television, and last check this morning, and normally we get good numbers, but this morning there was like 45,000 and change views, which was for what we're doing, that's viral to us. So that was a dramatic increase. And that's just since effectively Tuesday of this week. Here we are Saturday. I have no idea what it is now, so it's probably, it had jumped like 5,000 this morning, so I assume it's probably going to be close to the 50,000 range. So that means YouTube will be slamming it down anytime soon now, like they normally do. But I'm definitely noticing what you're talking about. And
I've got a good question out of that. Wouldn't you think, I'll say something Southern, wouldn't you think that out of all the people we get, you and I both, coming through our network and passing through our network and hearing our name and hearing what we're doing and what we're trying to do would be more participatory in a direct way? And I know you're going to probably say, and don't get mad at me, you're probably going to say, well, they already are and everything's good. But that's not, you wonder sometimes, don't you wonder sometimes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, every day.
Like I mean, with us, participatory with you and me. It's like you wonder what is going on. You think if you hit 20,000 people, that at least 300 of them would call and go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
they don't.
Well, the thing is with me, and I'm totally agreeing with you on that. The thing is with me, for me, it is all good because I'm adamant about maintaining this high ground and holding this line. I've got the flanks that I will not buy into any fear porn, and it is all good. I'm going to hold this. Do you see where I'm coming from? Where I'm not going to let fear porn interfere with it. I'm not going to let distractions. And we see them. Oh my God, do we see them?
Yeah, we do.
My holding of the line is, and I don't say it loosely, it is all good, and I'm going to hold that position. Where everyone else might see things collapsing around them, and I've seen it in my own life to a degree that most people would definitely not care to experience. But at the same time, I am still, this is like you get kicked to the ground while I, pull up the bootstraps, stand up, and go. And that's where I stand. It's like it's all good, Here I am.
Don't get too upset with others who come. I had a show the other night. We have a new producer in Panama, and I'm very proud, very thankful. I think he's on tonight, listening. George Lascano is on with us, and he's there for you all too. He's there for us. It's wonderful to have a connection in Panama with the government there and close ties there to that area. But we had someone on, my co-host. She doesn't like to be called a light worker. She likes to be called just a spiritualist, someone who has a gift. And I said, okay, that's good. And she was talking about spinning her little crystal around on the 30 charts and and energizing people and changing them and bringing cancer out of them and all of these bad attitudes and things. And George Lascano was on with me, and Glenn was on with me. Glenn Kindred was on with me. And the boys kind of pissed her off, and kind of, they started walking on her a little bit, talking about Syria and Egypt, and she started getting madder and madder. And they started talking about the millions that are starving, and the rapes and the murders and the maims and the suffering. And she got really hot, and then she started kind of talking about it. And she was cool. She was really cool. She said, you're right, guys. We do need to think about the dark side and understand how it works and why it works and what's going on and who's starving to death and who's being raped and who's being killed and who's being beheaded and who's being burned, because there's millions of people out there going through this. And I really respected her for that. It made me take a deep sigh of relief for her spiritualist movement. I encouraged everyone that night to try and at least talk about the real world, as I call it, and not get upset and not get mad or pissed off and say, well, you don't come on my show anymore, or don't talk to me anymore, or don't move next door to me, because I just don't think that's conducive to what you and I are trying to accomplish. I think that's dividing us rather than now I can see someone coming on as a fear porn nut. I think you've heard a lot of fear porn nuts. All they do is just fear porn. You can't even talk to them about light or love or balance or anything. They won't listen to you. So I can see your point.
Exactly. Just to reinforce the idea that you just brought there, and I do get a bit weary of what is deemed to be the light work or fluffy rabbit stuff, New Ager, all the rest of the crap that goes with it. Really, what needs to be, if you want to call yourself a worker of the light, then you need to become the peaceful light warrior. And what that really entails is going into those really dark places and exposing it. That's what the light is meant to be for. Expose the rats so they come out into the light where everyone else can see them. That's the true definition for me of what a light warrior is. There's nothing fluffy about what I've been doing. There's nothing fluffy about what you've been doing. And I do get, and again, this is when I say all good, that's the perspective I'm coming from. I
see you.
Pick the target.
I see you with a rose in one hand and a gun in the other. I mean, that's a compliment, by the way, to you. Okay, don't take it literally.
I got the metaphor.
Okay, it's a metaphor. And I see you and me both with a rose in one hand and a gun at 357 mag with hollow points in the other. I mean, it's like she said, well, let me go there. Let me go to Syria. Pay my way. Get me a ticket, by the way. Alex, hello, if you're listening. We've had a spat. But nothing Katie's not used to, so, I'm sorry.
It's all good. Yeah,
but she said, send me to Syria and put me down in the midst of all of this, and let me give them my sermon. Let me give them my speech. And I said, you would get your fucking head shot off. And she said, what? I'm like, come on, you've got to take this at a certain degree of reality and maturity. You can't just walk into the front line and stand there on the line where I have been in many places and say, look, we're all going to sit down and talk about this, because you've got the Shiites and you've got the Muslims, you've got the Arab Spring going on, which turned over, and you've got all these other factions shooting each other, So it's not as easy to be that kind of light worker. It's not as easy to go into those dark places where you and I have been. It's hard to tread in those dark places. You've got to know how to get in. You've got to know who to talk to. You've kind of got to know what to say.
And you got to have you got to have some life experience in terms of dealing with some of the darker things that go on, because that was one of the things living in Ireland, living here. I mean, you walk around, for the most part, the average quote Canadian unquote hasn't got a freaking clue. They've never experienced any form of hardship. They've never experienced barricades and army checkpoints. Well, they are now, but hearing literally and feeling bombs going off, where that someone has just got wiped out. And actually, I've already shared the story a few times of being at a bomb blast shortly, like within a minute of it going off, and That, well, it shook the house where we were, so it was like, go down and, go see what's going on. But I mean, when you're, and that's the thing too, is after a while, it's not that you become desensitized to it, but you lose the fear of it, and it becomes a fact of life. But you take that and you bring it into like an environment like this. You got people that run around, well, I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and it says you ain't got a clue, because you've been living in fluffy kindergarten, okay, and you're going to good luck passing on that one.
Yeah. And some of the light workers ask me, how do you all really sit on the curb with drug addicts that you love and know, and have needles hanging out of both arms, spooning one up and two in? How do you deal with that? And they're starting to come back to me. People that, since you and I have had this radio relationship, people are starting to come over and ask me, and I'm sure they've maybe asked you, we've never thought about this because we've been so comfortable inside the house. We've been so comfortable at the computer. We've been so comfortable with people with like minds. We've been talking about chanting and holding hands and going to these retreats, and we've never really hit the front line. We've never really been out there to tell the darkness about the light. So, that's important. Don't you think that's important to get out to the audience also, that, hey, if you're going to spread the light, go where the darkness is. Don't go in a lit up room, metaphorically. Jesus in the Bible said, I didn't come to save the well-healed. I came to save the sick and the shitty and the prostitute and I know you can't heal anybody if you're sitting in the house all the time, and the general public that's not on the air like us. Right?
Oh, exactly. No, again, I mean, you're not going to solve anything sitting around, singing Kumbaya in your fluffy slippers, and I'm sorry, that ain't going to happen. You're going to have to get into the trenches.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I don't know, you're wonderful. Okay, I know.
So are you? And that's one of the reasons why these. I don't even see that as a spat. I see that as powerful radio that wakes people up. That's energy people need to hear. They need to get the dichotomy within themselves, a little snap to it. And that's why I enjoy these shows so much, because it's all hell bent for leather. No holds barred, and go.
I had a vision the other night of you with the gun in the rose. I had a dream. And that's when I came back and said, you know what, Kate and I can do this thing, and Tony, we can do this thing, because you're on the same page as I am. Sometimes I get one-track-minded with my PTSD and my warrior background as far as being blood and guts warrior, really hands-on, bang, bang, you shoot your head off. But, you're on the same page. You're there. You've got the gun in one hand and the rose in the other, and I think that should be somewhere on one of our pages somewhere.
Well, yeah, and it's like this. Effectively what it is we give people that choice. Mm-hmm. Choose. Which one do you on anything they wish for? If you golden rule, you come at me with anger, hate, and whatever. Well, I'm definitely not going to be there hanging out with you. I'm sorry. That's just. But if you come at it with passion, there's a big difference there. From experience, these are the things that need to get hammered out. And most people, you're not going to get this kind of a form on Alex Jones. You're going to get anger, and you're going to get "You're the resistance" from Alex, right? And all the rest of it,
Yeah.
So, but no, we bring a different brand. It's basically no bullshit. Here it is. Deal with it. If you can handle it, great. If you can't, great. No skin off my nose, and I'm going to keep going. I'm in the trenches.
But I am also seeing. Let's talk about that 45 or 65%, whatever it is. Who knows? We've never done a poll. I wish we could do a poll on who's out there just totally clueless and just totally would call you and I a nut. I've got so many of those people out of my 6,500 friends on these platforms, and then out of all the emails I get, I've got people that say, "What are you all talking about? You and Kate need to be in a mental institution. There's nothing like that going on around the world. What's wrong with you all talking about the government like that? You should be in jail maybe. Our government is this and our government is that." I mean, you've got people, a whole bunch of people. I wish I had a number for you. That are just completely pro-government.
Get that individual's mailing address, and what I'll do is I'll trade off the last of the food I've got here to get them a pair of whatever size they need fluffy slippers and earmuffs.
Yeah. I'll send some. We'll box up a little gift package for them.
Sure, a soother perhaps, maybe a guitar with how to play Kumbaya, and maybe a box of matches and some sticks that they can have a little campfire and hang out with them.
On the other hand, Katie, maybe they just, I've been studying this a little bit. Maybe they just haven't hit the right button on Facebook, or maybe they've had their same friends for so long that are of like mind. Now, come on with me here. Really, you're already thinking. Maybe they've had their same friends, their same little comfort zone. They grew up in Jasper School or Bill Johnson School, and they went to the PTA, and they've never been anywhere. They've never heard anything.
This is where my passion against institutions that have actually made a mess of people comes into play. And I separate, spirit and state. And unfortunately, with the institutions, the way they, it starts in school and, different institutional churches, I don't care what they are, teaching a dogma from a literal sense and all the rest of it. And what we have are all these beautiful people that are being duped away from the real truth. And this has been going on for, 2,160 years. It's over now. This world is awake. I mean, we got, Pope stepping down.
Kids.
Yeah.
And kids are able to tune into your show and my show without being killed yet. Without being punished.
It's like, someone just posted in the chat room, I finally got the Syncrenicity chat room to work. This is the first time since last Friday. And someone just wrote in, Axel just wrote in Guns N' Roses.
Hey, I'm Guns and maybe you're Roses, or maybe we're both Guns N' Roses. Yeah, we are.
We're both. We have to be, see, that's the whole thing about singularity, is you have to be both. You can't be one or the other, because you are both. In all aspects, you are absolute good and absolute evil. The only thing that changes any of that is your free will choice. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you can choose to be evil, malevolent, and destructive, and a parasite on humanity, or you can choose the other side. And only with seeing both sides can you actually find that beautiful middle ground.
And then I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no. Go ahead. It's the same analogy.
You and I were having the last discussion on the last show, or it was a show before that. We were talking about credit cards and people being so spoiled and having to spend too much buying the big house, getting into all the contracts and getting into all the paper and just piling themselves up with contracts, and then complaining about the tax and spend, and complaining about taxes and complaining about this. Well, hello. You're piled up in 35 contracts and you're complaining?
Yeah.
Are you willing to sacrifice anything at all? Maybe get a smaller car? Oh, no, we can't have a smaller car. Well, what about that swimming pool? Maybe you could, no, we're going to go ahead and have that swimming pool put in, even though we don't have the money because we owe the credit card bill, but we're just going to put that on the other credit card. Well, okay, I don't understand this. And that's the way 80% of America is used. No, not 80% of America. My God, I don't know how much is used to living that way. Do you?
Oh, definitely not. And I just popped in, and he's going to he does all the YouTube transfers of our shows, so he's going to label it. He's going to call it Guns N' Roses. Now, just to back your point up there, Kyler, you saw it in a dream, right? So we bring the ether to the real world. That's the war in heaven. This is creation and the created at war, right? So, and people are stuck in the creation instead of being the creator, right? My friend Victoria, just the other day, we were talking about that with the credit cards, and she remembers all the friends that she had, growing up and whatever, and she's never had a credit card, right? And she used to get picked on. Well, you don't have a credit card, and why don't you have this, and why don't you have that, and all the rest of it. And just lately, in the last few months, these same friends are looking at her and talking to her, going, "Wow, are you ever lucky that you don't have a credit card?" So the shift has happened. People are finally, waking up to this. It's a greed paradigm. It's like it's a mock-up of abundance, because people that have a credit card are not physically spending anything. Now, here's the thing: if you put $200 in cash, just to give an example, in your purse or wallet, and a credit card, and you see something that you don't really need but you really want, and you have a choice. Card comes out because the cash is still seem to be real, whereas the credit card, well, I can worry about it in a month from now. So they're living in the future, which is exactly they see. This system is designed to keep you in two places: way in the future, called calendars, and dates, and all these little holy things that they love to put along to keep people month to month with this different celebration, right? Or they keep you in the past, never in the present future, which is what you create. So you're at effect to the creation, right?
I had 3 friends who listened to our show with you and I and Tony, and I've moved one of those recently, and I want to tell you, it's a sad situation. The first 2 I'll tell you about in a minute, but this one I had to move him. He went out and got married to this woman, and she was kind of a la-di-da, really spoiled brat, and kind of came from her daddy's. She was a daddy's girl, and he didn't have much of a job. He was a salesman. And he had great credit. I mean, he had A1 credit. He could have went out and borrowed $100,000 just on his signature at the bank, that type of deal. Yeah. And he loved her. He loved her dearly. I mean, he worshipped the ground she walked on, and she just went out and said, we need to buy this house. He went out and bought a $275,000 house, got her a new SUV, got him a boat. She wanted a boat so they could take her friends out. And they bought a couple of jet skis, put a pool table in the garage, and they did all the big screen TV stuff and all the new furniture. Well, anyway, long story short, I go over there to move them out. He calls me. I need your help, Kyler. I go, what's wrong? He said, well, my accountant called and said I'm broke. And I said, I said, what? He said, my accountant called me and told me I'm broke. I'm flat broke. I said, what the hell's wrong with your accountant? Is he on crack? Why didn't he tell you this months ago? He goes, well, my wife's been dealing with him.
Oh, God.
And she wouldn't let me talk to him. She told him not to talk to me, that I had mental problems. And so anyway, I went over there to move him out, and he didn't have $4 in his pocket to put gas in the SUV to get it out of the driveway. We had to loan him money. Now, look, Katie, this is such a sad story.
It's a testament to what's going on around us.
Yeah. And I've got 2 other friends that live up on the hill, and they're just as broke as a stick horse. But if you and I went up there to have drinks, we would think we were in Hollywood. We'd think we died going to Hollywood. And they don't have any money at all. They're broke. And I guess that's called illusion. That's the illusion that people want to live,
Exactly. Oh, don't mind the train.
Oh, I don't. I love it. I love the train. Even on the radio, it's great. But anyway, that's the illusion. And so many people look at, like poor people, go around, look at these big homes. We'll be driving through the neighborhoods with some of my homeless people, and they'll say, oh, I wish I could live like that. And I look back in the back seat and say, no, you don't. Don't even say that. Because these people are broke.
Well, exactly. But they have wealth. They have true wealth. They found the compassion, and that's the same thing with me. It's the hardest thing for me to accept when they stole my home was I had nowhere for others to come when they needed me, and they knew where to hit me, and they knew exactly how hard, and they ripped me through the heart, and I got my feet back, and I never left the airwaves, and there's that train again. Anyway, don't get me wrong, Katie. I'm not putting down people with money, or I'm not putting down people for wanting to have a piece of the American dream. I am not putting them down at all. I respect them, but I think that you need to be very frugal and very thoughtful and very careful and communicate with your spouse and say, honey, now, do we really need this pool table? We can't sleep on it. It's like, do we really need all this stuff? Well, that's the whole consumer way. That is the worship of the beast. See, that is Caesar. That is Babylon. And, that's not to take away from, people having creative dreams or whatever. But what has happened is people have transplanted that compassion into materialistic items and have lost, for me, and to me, they've really lost their way. And don't worry. That's what you talked about with your friend. That is coming hardcore, and I know that the whole system is shaking in its collective boots because when people finally get to the point where they see through the ruse of what they've, what God they've really been worshiping, materialism. There's going to be a whole lot of soul searching, and you're going to be dealing with a lot of people. I'm not sure how many bankers know how to plant a row of peas, but I assure you, not too many. And not only that, the average population has become so conditioned to go to the grocery store for food. And when these systems start breaking down, there's not going to be chaos, or this is what the fear porn stars want to sell. The Alex Joneses and what have you. What there is going to be is a collective awakening where people are going to finally have to come to terms with the reality of the world they're living in, and is it really what they want? And some people will never get it, and I see the vast majority of people will get it. And I keep going. Oh, go ahead.
The shame is that we can't reach them early, and we do some. Yes, we do some, because I do get emails of people. I told you this on the second show ago, that people are emailing me saying, you all have changed my life. Katie's changed my life. You've changed my life, Tyler. We're changing our patterns. We're changing our spending patterns. We're doing this, we're doing that. Well, that makes me feel like, hey, we're making a difference here. We are making a big difference. Sometimes I think we're not. Sometimes I get depressed, and I just turn off, and I think, what the hell? Why the hell even get up in the seat? Why even sit in the seat and do the show? But then it always brings me back, and I know you've told me you've had those depressive moments at times, but I always come back. I always come back.
Yeah,
because of that one person, we might change.
I had the lad post in the room that Alex Jones is in fear porn. Okay, well here it is in a nutshell. I'll try to be much clearer on that. Fear porn to me is this. Fear porn is taking concepts like FEMA camps and all the rest of it and placing it into the psyche of the consciousness. You see, it's like watching a movie. For that 2 hours that you're watching a movie, you are completely engulfed in it, and that is your reality. And that's the whole illusion that gets created for people. Now, if all of a sudden they started putting up signs that, breaking news, world peace just broke out, what you're doing is planting that into the psyche. So anything that is planting death, destruction, run for the hills, all this other crap, for me is fear porn, because what it is a representation of what someone wants to create for you. You don't see a headline in a newspaper that four children were born this morning healthy and beautiful, and they weren't bonded, and they weren't this and that. You're not going to see that. That to me is truth porn. Okay.
And that's not news. Yeah, that's not news.
Exactly.
They don't print the good news. We don't have a good news paper, by the way.
No, there isn't. I mean, all they're doing in the meat stick media is selling, bank robberies and invasions and death, murder, kill, and all the rest of the crap. And what it does is it keeps the masses that are observing this in that paradigm reality. So what we're trying to do sonically is to change that. We are solution driven, not fear porn driven.
Without being in denial. You're not
exactly.
in denial, and that's why I'm still here. That's why I'm still here with you, and that's why I'm glad we're together. You're not in denial, and a lot of people that I've worked with are, and have completely just said, I want to sever ties with you, Tyler Davenport, because you need to go take your meds, because we do not allow any negative talking in this group or on this show. I did a show the other night with this woman, and you would have called her an airhead. You, and you don't do that. You would have called her a complete airhead. She had that voice. She had that voice that's just,
Oh yeah, I know the one.
And then she would gasp if I would bring something up. We were talking about the Pope, and she was trying to be an expert on the Pope, and she was trying to be an expert on this Vatican thing, and I wanted to get my 2 cents in, and so you know me, I popped in there and put my 2 cents in, and boy, she just didn't like that at all,
Yeah, well, again, you see, this is not about ignoring reality. This is about changing reality.
Right.
And if you want something to be white, well, then you better understand what black is and break agreement with it so that you can see the difference. And that's the difference between taking a stand. I mean, I gotta say, when I first started radio, for about the first 3-4 months, they wanted a conspiracy theory kind of radio show, and anyway, it took me a while to get to decide to do it, because I know that I don't hold back. I've been on stage my whole life, and I've never held back once. But for the first 2 or 3 months, it was talking about the Kennedy stuff and all the rest of it. And I'm thinking, the one morning I woke up and I said, this is all bullshit. These are all things that have happened. These are all things that we know are, absolute bullshit. And that's when I went into a paradigm shift of saying, yes, absolutely, these things happened. This, blah, 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 9/11, blah, 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 Kennedy, all the rest of it. What we need to look at, instead of what happened, where it happened, how it happened, when it happened, what we need to start looking at is why.
Yes, of course. And that's what,
That's where reality changes, because when you take the word why, listen to the sound of it, why, which is the letter, the only letter in the alphabet that can be both a consonant and a vowel, there's singularity, okay, the duality in the singularity, and also the why is the representation of the tree of life. So we have to ask why.
Unfortunately, when you start talking about the why, this brings up personal responsibility, and this is when a lot of people turn you off if you start to say you are responsible for your paradigm, you're responsible for your past, you're responsible for all these things that are happening now that could be good instead of bad. You could choose to be on the good side and to do the good things. They turn off. They don't want to hear it because it brings up, not everybody, but a lot of people turn off, because you've attacked their personal beliefs and their personal attitudes and their personal programming and indoctrination. So that's where the war starts. And before we get too far, I want to thank Heather while she's on the air tonight publicly for, I don't get to do this much, for putting up with me and for being with me 15 years of our life. I want to thank her publicly here tonight for being with me, and me being sick and her being 30-something and me being 105 years old, and her sticking with me and being an advocate as she is. She doesn't talk a lot, and even on the air tonight, she didn't tell you who she really was because she's new at radio.
No, she's a solid. Hey, Kyler, she's as solid as they come. We do have a caller. I'm going to bring the caller in just to see if they have any questions or comments. We got like half an hour left, so I'd like to, do that. Area code 80479. If you have any questions or comments, your mic is hot. You know that because it just said unmuted.
Yes. Hi, good evening. My name is Hugh. I'm calling from Virginia. I'm not sure if I called your show before or not.
Oh, yeah, Hugh. I know who you are. Awesome. I'm glad you called in. Kyler, meet Hugh. Heather, meet Hugh. Hugh, welcome to the call.
Hi, Hugh.
Hi, I have a daughter named Heather, too.
Cool.
And I don't know if you ever had a chance to see who I am on the Internet yet, or?
I'm going back to, you called in probably about 5 months or more ago, so refresh my memory.
Okay, because I just did an interview last month. If I can share that with you, it will really tie in everything you're talking about right now. And it is going to force people to, take responsibility or, look at themselves a little bit more in the mirror and understand that they're here for a reason.
Hey, and Hugh, not to interrupt, but here's something for you. I have nothing in terms of Sunday night, is like tomorrow night, in terms of a show. If you would be interested, I'd love to bring you on so we can really expand on what you're going to talk about, because I know it's
that would be absolutely perfect. Yes,
yeah. Okay.
I don't use email, so if you could confirm that information with me after the show.
Yeah, I'll confirm it on the air right now. Absolutely. So tomorrow night our guest is going to be Hugh, and that's from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll have the show booked as soon as this show's over. So, so 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, and let's touch on some of the things that you want to go over, because I know you've got a lot of very important things to say. I know that.
Yes, and if I could just share this for your listeners so that maybe they can come back and you'll go through this interview that I did and be able to expand on whatever you want to. It's my name, Hugh Traulsen, T like Tom, Raulsen like Nancy, and after my name just put the word synchro, Synchro, mystic, Mystic, encounters. Hugh Traulsen, Synchro Mystic Encounters, and there's other things when you Google just my name you'll see on the Internet, but that'll give you plenty to work with.
Fair enough. So, let's get your thoughts on what we've been talking about tonight.
Well, it's definitely right on track, and I've had all kinds of bizarre experiences in my life, and it all boils down to that we have to really understand the simplest basics, and that's, you can't deny this, even if you're an atheist, you came from spirit, and we're here for a very short time. 100 years is like the blink of an eye in terms of eternity, so you can't take the toys with you when you go back into spirit, but you are accountable for what you did here. So that's where the personal responsibility comes in, and that's where your free will comes in. What kind of world are you going to leave for a legacy, and what are you doing with your life the whole time that you're here? And I believe the whole thing that we're working toward is unconditional love, and that's not airy-fairy stuff. That's truth and transparency, and doing two simple things that Jesus talked about, and that's giving God the respect first and then loving your neighbor as yourself. That's really what life is all about.
Wow. Very powerful. And, Kate knows my take on religion. I hate religion, but I love religion. No, religion. No, I'm just saying, I agree with you 100%. There has to be some kind of spirit there to kind of build a solid foundation, at least, for your life. Otherwise, we would just be lost. I mean, some of the people that think they're God, I used to make fun of, but I'm starting to kind of understand what they mean now. It's not like they're saying that they are the singular Almighty, if there is, in fact, a singular Almighty. They're saying that they have the God Spirit, that they have the ability to make the changes that Jesus said. You say to that mountain, move, and it shall move. And that, people, I talk about this when I talk at churches. I say, how many of you can go up to a mountain and say, move, mountain? And they say, well, that's just not possible. It's just not possible. And I said, well, no, it's not. You just said it was not possible. I said, have you ever thought about that mountain being a metaphor for your problems in your life? Jesus didn't mean a rock mountain. He meant the problems in your life, the difficulties in your life that you face, the fears and the doubt and the lack of faith. And they said, oh, okay, but that sounds so simple. And I said, well, it is simple if you really get it.
It's just not easy to do.
It.
Yeah,
right.
Again, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
And there's a lot of soul searching that we all have to do individually, And again, this is why people that, like us on the call and the listeners, and there's so many of them that have made that choice of understanding that they are going to be the change they want to see, and that's why we're moving into this beautiful energy. I do weary of this whole new age. That's why I'm not affiliated with anything or anyone. I'm me. I'm okay with that. I am affiliated with Critical Mass Radio because, well, they're wonderful and they gave us a platform to speak from.
Yes.
And again, I do the disclaimer because that's in reverence and honor to them. Because you know me, I'm going to speak exactly what I need to say, regardless of any popularity consequences. I don't give a rat's royal rump. You either get this shit or you don't. That's your free will choice.
And people also say, are we going to get better when this happens? Are we going to get better? Are we going to, when we become more enlightened, is things in our life going to straighten up completely? And I say, no, they probably will get much, much worse at first because you're not used to dealing in this type of area. And many people have come back and said, oh my God, you're right. When I changed my way of thinking, they fired me from work. As a matter of fact, I've got an email I can show you from yesterday. When I changed my whole way of thinking, I got fired from work. I lost my boyfriend, my girlfriend. People didn't want to associate with me and my family anymore. They're calling me mentally ill. So there are some problems in becoming enlightened, if you will.
Yeah, well, the the road is narrow. The way is narrow. This is one of the things, and we've been talking a little bit about, opt and all the rest of these, as I see them, COINTELPRO movements to capture that imagination that I speak of. The imagination is the most powerful thing, and why they insisted on children. You're daydreaming. Stop doing that, because they don't want we individual beings as a collective to awaken to the power of that imagination that is what moves mountains. Your imagination and what you focus on. You see, and I'll go back to Alex Jones again. Now, if Alex Jones got on the radio because of the number of people following him and said, Listen, all we have to do is stop focusing on the FEMA and stop focusing on this and that and the other. World peace is here. If he started doing that, there would be a paradigm shift overnight.
Well, I'm going to tell him that when I meet with him. We're meeting with him because of our Panamanian property that we're building bunkers in, which is not something I'm going to talk about tonight, but we may build a health spa. I don't know. But I'm going to be talking to him, and I'm going to tell him exactly what you said, Kate, and see if he's going to respond.
I'd love to talk to him, and it's not. You see, here's the thing, they're like a butter knife. There is good and evil, right? Now, that's not to say that what Alex is doing is good or evil. Actually, it's both, because with what he brings to the table, what could be the reality, if we focus on that reality, is he's introducing enough deference and quote fear unquote to snap people out of the hypnosis, to get them out of that zombie, and that's effectively what everyone is in terms of legal on this planet. We're the walking dead in their eyes. Those that carry identity are worshiping Caesar, basically. Id entity, pay attention to the words. And what we do when we have that id entity, we're the ones that create it for them, right? So what's your name? And as soon as you spew that legally owned thing, you've created that id entity, and now you're under the rule of Caesar.
Alex also kind of killed me the other day when he put his hands up. I'm not making fun, but I'm kind of giggling here. I've never seen him do it, but he put his hands up the other day and said, "Oh Lord, just give me the Holy Spirit. Just let it all ride out. Just do something, Lord." And I was like, "What are you doing, Alex? What are you doing, Alex?" I mean, I've never seen him do that before. And it was almost fake, or what would you call the word I'm trying to get to? It was almost
plastic.
Plastic. It was silly, And I thought, "What are you doing?" And he could tell his audience this, because he has a lot of power over these people, and he could run them over to a format that you and I are trying to do. The reason he doesn't, he's making a lot of money. He's got a lot of people in his audience, and he's got a nice house there in the South Hills. And maybe he just doesn't care anymore about doing that, I don't know. It's hard to...
exactly. Hugh, jump in here, my friend. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes, I see that Kyle is a journalist, and that there's some of the documents you can see on that site I gave you. I exposed the former federal government bureaucrat back in the early 80s for fraud, who I believe was a CIA operative. Indirectly, it eventually led to the resignation of Jim Ray from Speaker of the House in shame. And that's one person doing that. And you mentioned, is Alex still down in Texas, or?
Yeah, he's in Austin, Texas. Started out at...
All right, because that's where there's a bureau chief who interviewed me, just retired from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, being the Austin bureau chief. Dave Montgomery is his name, and he interviewed. Did you know Dave?
Well, it's a long story. I'm not going to tell it tonight. We don't have much time, but I'm a former investigator, undercover operative, consultant for the World News. I was a governor's agent for Governor Ann Richards, God rest her soul. And I've worked with, all the law enforcement agents undercover to bust up some of these
We definitely have to talk. My business partner is a former Special Ops Green Beret, and he's an expert in the law of attraction. He's Mensa. He has 3 doctorates, one in psychology. He's a psychologist for 40 years, former law enforcement also, and also has a doctorate in religion, a doctorate in theology. He's a Bible expert. So there's a lot there.
Yeah, I was mixed up in some really deep and nasty stuff for a long time. Kate's helped me a lot through this on the air. Even we go battle back and forth with my PTSD. But I was deep undercover into some really nasty stuff with some really nasty people for 2.5 years, covered up. I've been erased 3 times. I've had my identity changed 4 times. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and don't know which identity I am. But those days are over. They've wanted me back. I was a good agent, and I'm not going back because of my wife. I've got a little cancer now. I'm not going back to that, but it's a horror business, and it's a dangerous business. We were on the right side of the government, but we did a lot of wonderful good. But there's too many double agents out there, and there's too much on the take. Every agent's on the take. Everybody's out to get you, and you really just don't know who the hell you're working with anymore. You know?
That's exactly right, and that's all the more reason why we have to bring truth and transparency to the forefront. We have to create the world we want for our future, and it starts with yourself. You have to learn how to love yourself properly, and then have that ripple out into the community and root out the corruption. My partner and I are currently interacting with an indigenous gentleman on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation who's an activist for his elders, and they're hanging on by a thread to keep oral traditions that were passed down thousands of years, and that their own people have been corrupted. So we're just hanging in there with them and looking to help them as best we can.
Our Canadian brothers and sisters there on the reservations are really being screwed too bad, not only from the communicable diseases that happened so many years ago, brought in by the Catholic Church, but also now the government is trying to weed them out, kill them out, burn them out. The children, they have no education programs that are worth a damn anymore. They're taking away all of their rights, what few they had on the reservation. They're going against the treaties there in Canada and British Columbia. So it's really a bad situation. I want to go up there. I've got a friend who is on the ground who is working a documentary up there, has wanted me to come. If Katie will pay for it, I'll go and work with them. I'm kidding, Katie.
Let me give you... If you look for my name and a WordPress site, you'll see this gentleman with a YouTube where he actually went to Washington and had the head of the Department of Justice Indian Affairs sign a document that he never honored as following up the way he said. It's my name, hughfolson.wordpress.com, and then my partners put that information on the Internet.
I'm going to give it back.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead. What's his name?
My partner's name is Dr. Ed Maloney. It's spelled M as in Mary, Oloney, and his website is attractingabetterlife.com. There's an email right on his site. So he has email. I don't use email as a global visionary. It takes away from my creativity to play with a keyboard all day. I have nothing against it, but when I have my resources, I'll probably burn out about 8 or 9 secretaries a day, having them send emails all over the place.
I'm so glad you're going to be on Katie's show. I'll be glued to the set tomorrow night at 7.
Absolutely, it's going to be something else. Just waiting. Actually, Tracy is listening in right now. She wanted you to touch on a point, so I'm just going to bring her into the call here. So just give me a second to ask you a question.
Oh. $10.
We do that on radio.
I'm kidding.
I know. It's all good. So just waiting for her to connect, and there she is. Tracy, ask Kyler your question, huh?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, good. Hi, Kyler.
Hi.
Oh, wow, I'm hearing you double time Kate and Kyler and myself. Is that me or you guys?
Do you have the radio still going?
Oh, hang on. Okay, sorry.
That'll do it.
Player off.
There
I
we
do
go.
that all the time. I leave the player on by accident, and I'm hearing double.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Kyler, how you doing? We talked a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, I'm doing the same old Kyler, I guess. I try to change a little every day when y'all kick my butt, you know. That's why I'm here, for y'all to kick my butt.
I love it, but earlier I sat on the phone twice, and then I had to go take care of one thing and then another, which was my dog the second time. But you said something about healing people, and I would really love to hear you elaborate on how we do that, because I know you know. And you guys have tiptoed through a lot of different subjects, and I really want to hear it from your heart. How elaborate on that. How do we heal? Because I don't heal you and you don't heal me, but there's something we do mutually, right?
Let me tell you what I do. My personal experience in Heather. I sit directly on the curb, and I'm going to use this drug thing again, okay? It gets in people's heads. I go out in the street, and I go down in the dirt. I lived undercover as homeless for a long time in cardboard boxes, and I was on the radio, and I was reporting as an undercover operative, as a homeless guy, to bring a documentary together. But I go down where the people are, and I hold their hand, and I love them, and I cry with them, and I get mad at them, and they get mad at me, and we curse each other out, and we talk about Jesus and Buddha and Krishna, and we get down in it, man. I'm honest with these people. I'm a pastor. I'm a former pastor, and they call me the cursing pastor up here. And I just get down on their level, man, and I tell them about my sins. I'm not afraid to talk about my sins. I'm not afraid to talk about my temper I used to have when I was younger. I'm not afraid to talk about my drug use when I used to do a little cocaine on the weekends, and they say, man, you're cool, man. You're pretty cool. When they first look at me, they think, oh, this guy's a straight. He's a cop. He's a this and that. But no, man, I get down on the level. That's what you've got to do with your friends. You got to get down on the floor with them. And if you're not willing to get down on the floor with them and stay with them when they're sick and they're depressed and they're down and they're out, man, I mean totally out, where nobody wants to see them, nobody wants to love them, nobody wants to touch them. That's the secret to healing, is showing people that unconditional love and loving them when they're broke, loving them when they're sick, loving them when they smell and they've pissed all over themselves. That is love. That is the key to this whole thing, and that's what we're lacking right now with these people in the so-called New Age. Some of the people in the so-called New Age movement just do not want to get down and dirty with others. They want to run away. They want to hide.
Hey, that's awesome. Okay, Kyler, let me share something with you, because I'm feeling your heat on that one, brother. Because I tried to bring it up, and maybe Kate, I made a film. Okay, I haven't finished the film, but there's a 3-minute trailer on YouTube called Lauren Martin Shelter. And I want to share it with you. Kate, did I ever share it with you? Kate?
Oh, yeah. I've seen it a couple of times. Absolutely.
Okay, so
when we first met, you shared it.
Yeah, okay. So, Kyler, I was a single mom doing my own thing, and I worked for Salt Spring Island Parks, BC Parks. And on my path was a 70-year-old man named Lauren Martin. And he was an icon on that island. A lot of structures like picnic tables and gazebos around that island that tourists from all over the world come and sit and have picnics and take pictures of are there on that island. He's part of the artistic landscape. Okay, so that was when he was in his prime. When he was in his prime, he was the kind of guy that you and Kate and a lot of us would absolutely look up to. He was his own man. He was self-taught builder, self-taught guitar player, and nobody could tell him at 70 years old, when he was now suffering from innocently the effects of alcoholism, age, working hard, and all that integrity. Nobody could tell him, hey, Lauren, you're disabled. And hey, Lauren, you got to walk up the hill and jump through this fucking hoop and go see this fucking counselor. You know what he would say to that? Fuck you, you can't take that to Parliament. Just like, and 2 years ago when we said, hey, Lauren, you can't smoke your cigarette beside the coffee shop door anymore. He would say, in the middle of his dementia, fuck you, you can't take that to Parliament. Okay, so this is why I love this guy. Because in his fucked up state, after all the damage of, being a logger and a tree falling on his head, too much booze, too much hard living, too much doing it all right, then the system said, fuck you, Lauren. You got to now, be this invalid so we can help you. And he still said, fuck you, I'm going to do it my way. And so there I was working in the park, and I had already made a commitment to service to others and to rise to whatever was in my 20-foot radius. So about the 10th time I went to work and Lauren was in my 20-foot radius, I said, do you know, Lauren, that you and I are now going to have a very long relationship? And he said, well, honey, I do love you. And I said, well, Lauren, besides the fact that you don't even know my name, besides the fact that, I'm not your honey, I don't know what your shit attitude is, but you and I are going to hang around for a while, and I'm going to resolve this issue of how long have you been out here with no place to live? And I had to find out from other people, right? 10 years he'd been walking around like a polar bear, right, in a neurotic state in a circle, while family, community, government, small town people let him do it. And over a year, I researched, never mind the government part, but Lauren, that story. And people told themselves all kinds of stuff, right? Oh, he's got a pension of $1,600 a month. Oh, he made his bed, let him lie in it. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, everything. But for me, it was like, hey, he's serving the light. He's giving us all an opportunity to rise to our humanity here. And so I'm not going to judge people that didn't help him, because I know some people did, and they didn't know how, right?
When I see people down like that, I look in the mirror at myself, no matter who I'm talking to, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, I see, oh my God, you're not going to believe what's at my door. Oh my God. I've got two beautiful deer and their does trying to open my camper door. This is the most weird thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's beautiful. What's the totem of deer? What does that mean?
Get the producer, get the camera, quick. Oh my
deer,
God!
Deer. Well, I can go to the tarot on that one for.
Yeah.
Camera, it's right here. But anyway, this is beautiful. I'm going to take pictures for y'all. I've got pictures coming.
But Tyler, I want you to look at my little 3-minute trailer and meet my friend Lauren. Okay, now he was murdered a couple of years after. What I ultimately did, Tyler.
Yeah, he's a bit busy.
Okay, we didn't have a lot of time. I wanted to ask her. Katie snagged one. Now I'm going to snag one on Katie's show. Would you mind coming on the air with me so we can talk more about this? If Katie doesn't mind, of course, me snagging a guest here.
Oh, whatever you need, Tyler. You know that. Just to let you guys know, we got just over 6 minutes left here. So
I was kind of cutting it. I wanted to give her my email. Tyler2010 at AOL.com.
I'll make sure that she gets your Skype. So not a problem as far as connecting. That's kind of my job, son and daughter. Connecting the dots, light thing. Yeah. Anyway. Before we wrap up the show here, I'm just going to do my thank yous to Critical Mass Radio and Paul and Lisa and the crew at Critical Mass for giving us this platform every night that we can bring what we bring to you. You can call it what you want. The only thing that I'll speak for myself, and I know so many others that are on the same page. All we can do is share our experiences and our heart and our compassion, and hopefully, that will resonate. And it's a beautiful omen that 2 deer came to your camper.
Really, I agree.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here watching them. They're eating off the leaves outside the trailer, and Heather's out there taking pictures for y'all right now. It's kind of dark, but she's trying to get some pictures.
It's beautiful. And again, while we have people listening tomorrow night, we have Hugh Trolson that will be joining myself. And possibly Tony. He's kind of on mobile right now, so no problem. I've been chatting with him, and so tomorrow night will be Hugh Trolson and myself, and of course, whoever else wants to call in, show up, and ask questions. But I guarantee you, people, that it will be a very interesting show. I think beyond interesting. What do you think, Hugh?
Tracy.
Hey, Tyler, have a look at my film, and we'll talk later.
Okay. Katie's going to take care of that, and Hugh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, it'll be going down the rabbit hole. We'll have a lot of fun, and that's what life should be anyway.
Yes.
And exactly. And if we're going down the rabbit hole, I have to, advise all listeners to leave their fluffy slippers at home because they will get dirty.
And can I also add, Hugh, you got to balance it out now, okay? It's not just about the rabbit hole and what was. We're creators. We got to create as much as we report.
Let me show you this real quick thing as we get off, because it ties right in with the 2 deer. It's all about getting out in nature. That's God's classroom. As a disabled senior citizen, I walk around my independent apartment building for exercise. I multitask. I pray while I walk, and at the end of my walk, I sit and relax on a bench and just enjoying the beautiful flowers, the trees, the clouds in the sky, listening to the birds. Last summer, out of nowhere, when I sat down, a butterfly came and landed 3 feet in front of me. It was brown with orange and white markings on it. It stayed for about 20 minutes. That periodically opened and closed its wings. I was trying to decide who's going to leave first, me or the butterfly. It moved another 3 feet and landed on top of a dandelion, opened its wings and left them open. That's when I got the message that when life gets rough, we tend to close up or go into a shell. But if we just open up and let go and let God when we can't handle things, how beautiful life can be. When I got up to walk away, my Bermuda shorts were brown with orange and white markings, the same color as the butterfly.
Aw, cool.
Let me warn you not to mess with the turkeys. They tried to rape me the other day. They tried to beat me up. They put holes in my pants up on the mountain. 9 turkeys attacked me in the street, and people were laughing, and I was not laughing. I backed up and fell down. One of them jumped on top of me and was pecking my chest.
Well, they just reminded you they get hungry too, not Thanksgiving just for us.
They put those feathers up and they guard everything. They were picking his truck. One guy jumped in a truck to help me, and he decided, no, I'm not getting out.
Hey, anyway, Tyler, I think you're being told to stop calling people turkeys.
Well, it worked. It worked. Thank you, Kate, for letting me come on tonight and be your co-host.
Well, hey, it's Saturday night. Where Eagles Soar. It's Saturday with Kyler, baby. That's how it works. You know, this is your show. This is your show as much as mine. Again, this is everyone that's listening. This is your show. All we are is the platform and the voice, and you know, you make the free will choice to be here, and you know, you're going to get what you're going to get, and you can take from it what you want. Bottom line is, you've got to come into your own power, and you have to start. You know, if you want to change the world around you, you're going to have to start being the change that you want to see. And I know it's a very cliche sort of thing to say all the time, but the truth that is contained within that at such a deep level is beyond measure. Be the change that you wish to see, and it's really that simple. It's just not that easy. So I chose to be the change.
And whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, and enthusiastically act upon will come to pass.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's a good one.
Absolutely.
Put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
Hey, good night, you guys.
Good night, you. We got 30 seconds left here, Hugh. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. It's going to be great. I will...
you can call me if you have any questions anytime before tomorrow if you like, and God bless everyone.
God bless
Good night,
you.
everyone.
All right. So thanks again, listeners, for tuning in tomorrow night. Hugh Trolson, thanks for listening to our Eagles Soar with myself, Kate of Gaia, and Kyler Davenport. Thanks, Tracy, for jumping in. And, of course, Tammy and Peppermint and Heather, thank you guys so much for opening the floodgates of truth tonight with me. It was beautiful. So much love to all, and we'll catch you tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
Bye, America.